Happy 4th of July, everyone. This is a Star-Spangled Special episode to celebrate Independence Day with our legendary guest, Tyler Butterworth. He's a man who's taken the internet by storm, making hilariously wholesome content. This mustachioed superstar joins us today to celebrate Independence Day in this freedom-loving special. But before we begin, we need to ask you to smash that like button and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're on a other podcast platform, hit that follow button and leave us a review. Now strap in, grab yourself a can of liquid freedom, and try to hang on to all your fingers and toes this year as you light off as many fireworks as possible. P.S. This deaf artilleryman can't hear your fireworks, but if I could, I wouldn't be impressed. God bless America. Happy Independence Day. Please enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the Present Fathers Podcast. We have a Star-Spangled Special guest for you today, Mr. Tyler Butterworth. For this 4th of July special, Tyler, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Tyler, why don't you introduce yourself at a high level about, kind of your family. And, for those who may not know you, have a slight social media presence. You make some pretty funny stuff. But tell us a little bit about who you are and what your family is, and then we'll go into your background.
Yes, thank you. My name is Tyler Butterworth. I am a father of two wonderful kids. My son is 6 years old and my daughter is 4. And I've been happily married to my smoking hot wife for a little over 8 years now. I think she's yelling at the kids upstairs right now.
Nice. Laying down the law while Dad's
That's right.
in the dungeon. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we are thrilled to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about, I know you've been in the Guard for quite a while. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you kind of started your journey in the military, and then obviously, the whole social media thing took off at some point. So we'd love to hear your story.
Sure. Yeah. So I joined when I was 18 back in 2006. I joined the National Guard. I've been National Guard the whole time, actually, for about 18 years. I joined as an infantryman. I was recruited. I don't even remember my recruiter's name, but he popped in a bunch of DVDs into the thing and showed me all the different jobs. He stopped on the infantry one, and I saw a rather strong, strapping gentleman holding a machine gun, shooting it from the hip. And then the guy takes a grenade and throws it into the 3rd-story building window, and it blows the whole building up. And I stopped what I'm doing, and I'm like, "Are you telling me that I'm going to get to do that?" And he's like, "Absolutely." So we shook hands.
Every day.
I think I enlisted
Every day of your career is just that.
The next, week or so, and surprising fact that I have never thrown a hand grenade through a window and made a whole building blow up. So I got 2 years left. Maybe there's still time. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's enough presence. Maybe they can make it a, PAO kind of, recruiting event for you. And
I think it's a great idea.
I'd pitch that up.
So I did that. On the civilian side, I've been a police officer for about 14 years in several capacities, patrol officer, gang unit, narcotics, street crimes, fugitive apprehension, all that kind of stuff. I've done it. I was a volunteer firefighter in high school. And was that a gang sign right now? Brandon, what are you doing?
I haven't a clue what you're talking about.
Was that MS-13, dog?
I mean, maybe. I love tacos, so.
Yeah, who doesn't? So I did that. 2 combat deployments to Iraq, humanitarian deployment down to the Virgin Islands for a big hurricane. And then basically I decided to go from the street crimes job. I had a pretty dangerous evening, jumping fences, chasing somebody with a gun. And it kind of made me realize the value wasn't there for me to be a police officer in that capacity for the money, and knowing that at the time I had a 6-month-old son at home.
Yeah.
So I came home and I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, I think I could do more." And that's when I became a recruiter.
Oh, all right.
So
then you suckered infantrymen into thinking they're going to throw grenades every day. All right.
That's right. I didn't use the DVD. I just told them that. But so I went to, I don't know. I don't think I ever used that tactic. Some recruiters will show like a YouTube video, but I don't think I ever did that. So anyway, I went to recruiting. I was a recruiter for about 2.5 years in Loudoun County, Virginia. It's the wealthiest county in the United States. So it's very difficult to recruit there based on they don't need our money at all.
Yep.
So from there, that's where the kind of whole social media journey started. I started it for the purpose of recruiting in the beginning, and then very quickly I realized that this is much more than that, and it really makes me happy to do it, and it makes me happy knowing that I'm making other people feel happy or feel better or whatever it is. And that's honestly why I continue to do it. Everything else
That's
aside, I
awesome.
mean, that's the number one reason.
That's awesome, man. Well, first of all, thanks for all of the different capacities you've served and continue to do so. And yeah, just appreciate what you're doing. And it's good to see some nice, wholesome humor that, all of us enjoy here for sure. And that's, it's just great, right? It's one of those kind of feel good stories. So I love what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that thought process of like, well, I mean, I need to make a change here because, like you said, you were a relatively new father. I think it's something a lot of guys can relate to. Maybe they're doing something where things are starting to change, and it's certainly a struggle to shift your career, right, or change that capacity. So, can you walk through kind of what you learned in that process, and maybe some advice for guys in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, that was really hard going from law enforcement. All my buddies, I mean, we're in life and death scenarios. We're doing search warrants every week, very dangerous, but with that danger comes that, higher level of camaraderie and everything. And so going from that to the thought of having a normal everyday office job is just like, that was one of the hardest things I've done is leaving that kind of environment where, I carry a gun every day. I carry a rifle or a submachine gun doing these search warrants and with these other guys that are pretty bad dudes. And then knowing that now I'm going to be doing paperwork and sitting in a cubicle. And so that was really hard for me. But at the end of the day, I realized like it's not just about me anymore. It's about my family. It's about my kids. And so that's what I kind of focused on. And I realized very quickly after leaving law enforcement that I wasn't doing nearly as much as I should. And I didn't know that at the time because I was very focused on the career and, working nights and all that. So I think within the first week, I was able to, be home at night. Since I had met my wife, I was never home at night. Unless I was off, I worked 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. or even later sometimes. So being able to be home with my kid and wife in the evening, I mean, it made me see what I was missing out on.
Mm.
And so it made me really appreciate it that much more. But yeah, so if you're in that kind of situation where the schedule doesn't allow it, appreciate the time that you have. And when you're off, focus on that more because it really is what matters. I mean, more than anything else. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it's great. And, I had to navigate a very similar thing, right? I left active duty. My daughter was about 6 months old. So, it's a tough transition for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want kind of your take on that because even if you're not in the military or law enforcement, right, a large career shift or something like that as a new
Yeah.
father is definitely, it's an experience. It's a challenge for sure. And so I
Yeah,
just
definitely
wanted to
was.
make sure that we got that out of there of your story. So you started into recruiting. I'm going to have to come back to some recruiting stories, but using the social media to amplify that. So tell us how that journey kind of just took off, kind of had a life of its own and where you've been going from there. Cause it's kind
So
of crazy.
yeah, so in the beginning, it didn't really take off. Just to be clear, it wasn't like, bam, I made a video and it's like, it took some
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
in the beginning, how it all started is, in recruiting school, they teach us the primary methods of communication are text, phone call, and email. Well, I don't know how many 16, 17-year-olds you talk to, but if you did, I would encourage you to ask them what their phone number is, and I guarantee you they probably don't have it memorized. I learned that by going to 18 high schools once a month uh, and talking to a lot of kids. So I was standing at doing like a lunchroom display that us recruiters do. And I'm talking to a kid, probably about the infantry. And I asked him, I was like, hey man, what's your Facebook? And he's like, my mom has Facebook. And I'm like, thanks, appreciate that. So I asked him what he had. He told me Instagram.
Boomer.
I was a boomer. I was an old man. So at this point, I had a Facebook. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't have TikTok, any of these kind of things. So he told me about Instagram. I think I downloaded the app. was on my way back from MEPS where we enlist people, and I had enlisted a female as a combat engineer. And so on the way back, she's on her phone the whole time, like doing this, looking at the screen. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm watching reels. And I'm like, what the heck is a reel? She's like, oh, it's a short video that people send to each other. And I'm like, why would you do that? She's like, I don't know. It's just fun stuff and funny or motivating and all that. And I'm like, all right. So she tells me more about it. And so on the way back, I'm like, man, this is great. And if this is how they communicate, I'm going to use it for this purpose to try to recruit them. So I like immerse myself in YouTube to try to learn how to do this stuff, like how to make a good video, how to be an actor, how to do videography and editing and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, my wife thought I was crazy. My boss couldn't stand me because I'm like more focused on that than making phone calls, sitting at my desk. And so the first video I did, I sat at my desk in the recruiting office and I did what every recruiter does. I took my phone, propped it up on something, did the make myself look a little bigger on the camera. And then I'm like, hi, my name is Sergeant Butterworth and I'm a recruiter in the Army National Guard. And today I'm here to talk to you about the education benefits or whatever. But I don't think I blinked the entire time that I did this video. People watching are probably like, this dude's a serial killer for sure. So, I did that. My mom liked the video. My wife liked the video, my grandma. And I'm like, man, I'm killing it. This is just going really great. So
totally viral.
Yeah. So I naturally did 3 more videos just like that until I realized like, this is dumb. Like this is what everybody does. And I think at the time I was watching Parks and Rec. I had never seen it before. I just hadn't really watched it. And so I'm like, man, that dude, Ron Swanson, has a mean mustache. And so I'm like, I could grow a mustache. I'm going to grow a mustache. So I did. And then I learned more about voiceovers and how to do those kind of videos. And that's the first video I did that kind of went viral, as they say. Like, I think I had like 100 some followers and that video got like 50,000 views.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, this is crazy, because I tried the motivational stuff or the fitness content or all that kind of crap. And I would just start laughing every time I would do a video like that. Like I'm literally wearing a gas mask doing push-ups and it's still there. Like if you scroll all the way down, you can see all these ridiculous things I did. And I remember doing that and I'm like, what am I doing? Like I've never done push-ups in a gas mask before. I'm not David Goggins. I'm like, I don't do that. So once I realized the funny is where it's at, I'm like, man, I'll just focus on this. It's really what I want to do. And so that's what I did. And I started to kind of incorporate that in my recruiting strategy, but very quickly it became more so about like, I just like doing this and this is fun. Yeah. And the kids at the high school, when I see them, they're like, hey, it's Sergeant Butterworth. And I'm like, for real, on God, or using all their terms.
No Riz.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever that means. I don't know. I've heard it.
No cap for real.
Yeah, no cap. There you go. Yeah. No cap. What year was this when you like started, making your first videos and kind of learning?
I would say probably like 2 years ago.
Oh, really? So it's that recent. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty amazing. I thought I thought you were going to say something like 2016 or something like that. But
no. I don't even know what I was doing then.
So
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, when you look at your demographics, who are you resonating with then? Who finds you funny? Is it like lonely housewives? Is it like 16-year-old kids? Is it like boomer dads like us? Like who's your demographic that's like, this dude is hilarious?
It's a good question. So I actually really went into this in the analytics last week for some stuff, but my primary age range is like, I would say the vast majority is between 17 and 35. And if you know anything about military recruiting, that's like the sweet spot. That's exactly what we're looking for. So perfect, as they say. But yeah, I've noticed recently on Instagram mainly, I have a large percentage that are under the age of 13 that follow my stuff. So a lot of kids watch these videos and kind of emulate or copy the things that I do, especially now with my son being in some of the videos. These parents will record videos with the kids. My son and I just finished one that we're going to post that I think will encourage other kids to make this kind of sandwich that my son and I just made. And so that's kind of the idea that I want to do, is always keep this stuff like the wholesome, like family friendly content that anybody could watch. And that's kind of the goal for me.
Okay, so let me throw a fly in the ointment. What do you think is the right age for a kid to have access to social media? I'm really curious. You're right in the middle of it. So like, is it 10?
Yeah.
Is it 20? Like, what do you think?
I think if it's something where it's like an account, like my kids, right? So we let my son watch YouTube, but obviously that is very closely monitored on what he's watching. Even like these Minecraft videos, but we were watching one together one time, and I'm like, why are they saying bad words in this video? If this is content that's made for a kid, like that doesn't make sense, and I don't appreciate that. So he watches Lego kind of content and Minecraft things, and he really likes the Revolutionary War. He'll watch a lot of things about the Revolutionary War that are like history based. So I guess the right age for me, for him to watch things on his own and know what what he's watching, that would be like a teenager. Um, I we control what they're watching and when they're watching and how much and all that. They will never have their own device until they're smart enough to be able to navigate that.
Yeah,
That's
that
good
makes
advice.
sense. So you do a pretty good job of watching it with them. So unmonitored then, would you say like 14 would probably be where you kind of be okay? Because I know Florida, they just passed a law, and I think it's 16 and under. They're saying they don't want anyone on social media. So I'm
Wow.
kind of curious. Yeah, that one's pretty restrictive compared to the rest of the country.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I don't really know like what number I would put on it. I mean, my kids are still young, so everything we do is very protective of them. And I mean, even my son being in the videos, like there's a lot of different trains of thought on that. But at the end of the day, if it's something where he wants to be in a video, it's never like, Jack, get down here. Dad needs you to do another video. Like, put this mustache on. It's never like that. He asks me almost every day that, like, Dad, can we do a video? Can we try snacks from Germany? Can we try snacks from a different country? And I love doing that with him. It's good quality time that we can spend together. And if that is shared with other people and the effect that kids are watching it and it's making them feel good and entertaining, and I know that what we're making is family clean content, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I love
Definitely.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughters started asking like, "Dad, can I make a video with you?" And I'm like, we'll have to.
Yeah.
I need to take some tips from you, because I'm like, a lot of my content isn't exactly like geared towards kids. It's for
Right.
grown men. So I'm like, all right, kiddo, we'll think about it. But yeah, we've done a few together, and it's tons of fun. And she like asks me every now and then to rewatch those ones we've done together. So it's a great way to like bond. And we talk a lot about kind of like meeting your kids where they're at, being interested in what they're interested in. And so if they're wanting to meet you on something that you're interested in, okay, take and run with it. It's a great thing to do as a dad.
Yeah. And we try to, I try to focus on things that they're interested in. So my son is super interested in anything to do with the military. Shocker. And my daughter is super into baking. She would rather watch a cupcake and cake decorating video than watch Bluey or any of these kids related shows. So my thought process there is every other Friday, we try to make some kind of baked good. Like I bake, I cook. I love doing that with her. And so if we can create content to where it teaches other little girls how to bake or to do that kind of thing with their dad, then that's my goal. Like that's what I want.
I love that. I love that you're bonding with your kids too, and you're finding interests, and you're finding an ability to tie each other together. But what prompted you to bring your son onto a video to start that process?
Honestly, he had been asking for a while. I mean, I have cameras everywhere. I have microphones. I have all this stuff, and he sees it. I'm literally sitting in a studio that I built in my basement that has a backdrop of, all this stuff that when I film my MRE videos, I can literally turn on all of the cameras. Let me see here. I know you can't hear this if you're listening, but that's a camera up there on the ceiling. 2 cameras right there, and there's 1 camera right here. So I literally come down here, flip a switch on, press record on all the cameras, turn my audio device on, and then do the videos. I mean, I'll stand down here for an hour and make 1 MRE video. So I probably have 40 countries worth of MREs on the floor back there. So my son sees all this stuff and he's like, Dad, can I try that? And I'm like, sure. And then I thought about it more. I was like, Jack, would you want to do this with me? Would you want to stand here at this table and try an MRE? And we haven't done that yet. We're planning on it, but he's like chomping at the bit. He's like, I want to try an MRE, Dad. I bet it's so good. I'm like, no, it's not.
Now, I got to know, what's the king of the MRE? Which country holds the best one so far?
I think right now it would be a French MRE, and that video has not been uploaded yet. It'll be uploaded on Sunday. I got to finish editing it tonight after this is my plan.
Okay.
We're going to have to cut that part out. This is the 4th of July. We can't talk about this is terrible. This is absolute travesty.
It's a freedom MRE. Okay. It's not a French fry.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it was delicious. Like it was like I would eat that like for dinner at home.
The French are known for their cuisine, so I wouldn't put it past them.
And their retreat, but
Yeah, I mean,
never holding Paris and really good food. Yep, they're really good at those two things.
And the Maginot line. Can't forget that one.
Yeah.
I get that dovetails into kind of an Army specific question though. What's your favorite U.S. Army MRE that you've had?
I would say I get that question a lot, and I would say my all-time favorite was the beef ravioli. Because they don't even make that one anymore. But that was the one that when I was in Iraq, I would trade for that one because I knew it had the beef ravioli, which is good cold or hot, and it had the fudge brownie in it. And the fudge brownie was a very coveted item in the MREs back then.
Very good. Yeah. Respect.
Nice.
I can respect that.
Yeah,
well, I had a question going back to the content. What advice would you give to a father who's looking to, add their kids and make some content? Because I looked at my 7-month-old daughter the other day, and I was trying to do some videos with her. She just looked at me like I was stupid. So I was kind of like, well, we'll try later, kid.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you're going to start that young, you got to start them like right out of the womb. You got to start it right away.
That's what I was thinking, man.
If you're doing videos with dad, you don't have a choice. No,
have the TikTok account set up so you can like film the birth and it's their first live.
Yeah, get some shock therapy going in case they don't pay.
There you go. TikTok. No, I would say you probably already know what your kids are interested in. What kind of made me realize it is watching these things with my son and daughter on YouTube. And I see the way that a lot of these videos are made where it's very like clickbaity kind of thing to get these kids to watch it and click on it. And then you see the actual content that's being delivered to the kid. And I'm like, this is dumb. Like they're literally not learning anything. And it's just bright, flashy noises and things like that to keep their attention so that the YouTube creator can make more money off of your kid staying on that video for longer. So I'm like, if you're going to create content, I would always aim to do two things. And those two things are to educate and entertain. So an example is if I wanted to make a video about this water and I'm like, hi, my name is Tyler and the only water I drink is this water right here and it's my favorite. But if instead of doing that, I can deliver the same message and be doing something ridiculous with my other hand, like have a frying pan that I'm waving around and be like, hi, the only water I drink is blah, blah, blah. So now I'm giving you information and I'm also entertaining you at the same time. I don't know how I got into that, but...
No, I think that's super important though. I mean, monetizing kids and like getting them addicted to like make more ad revenue. I mean, that's a real thing and it's a problem. So it's definitely something to address.
Well, Harrison brought that up, right? The Save Your Sons we had on recently. And he's like, look, like that's why they created Sherwood, was to be lower stimulation types of entertainment for kids, because that's how it used to be, right? Kids had more basic cartoons, you read books and all that kind of stuff. And it's like their minds actually can grow then. But otherwise, if it's like high stimulation, all that kind of stuff, it's basically digital drugs for your children. And you're just letting them watch it on repeat. And it's like, it does really bad things to our brains, So yeah, definitely better to focus on, quality, actual education. Men, you've been leveling yourself up watching this podcast, but now it's time to level up that wardrobe. The Dad Bod is out and Hot Dad Summer is in. Introducing the all-new Hot Dad Summer tank tops, coming in a very patriotic blend of red, white, and blue options to choose from. Be the envy of the neighborhood as you flaunt this epic tank top, showing off those jacked arms and incredible farmer's tan. Star-Spangled Ranger panties and pasty white legs not included. And complete the outfit with the Hot Dad Fanny Pack. This practical pack will store all of your essentials, as well as assert dominance to the other dads in the neighborhood. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you'll be equipped and ready to handle the situation. Order now using code HOTDAD24 to get 15% off on all orders through July. Check it out. So yeah, just overstimulation, not a good thing. Tyler, I like your point about focusing on, actual content, not just trying to keep them hooked. Another kind of quick question I had is, what's the favorite video, your most favorite video that you've made so far?
I honestly, I don't know. I made probably over 750 videos at this point.
You don't have them all memorized? What?
No, I really do like I've probably watched the first video I made with my son at least like 100 times myself, just because it's like you when you're around your kids all the time, you don't realize how little they are. But then when I see this video, I'm like, man, he's tiny. He's so little still. Like it just makes me appreciate it, like seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I like that. And I know that by making these videos, like they'll always be there. So as he grows up and we continue to make videos, or even if he chooses not to, or I stop, I'm always going to have that memory and I'll be able to see it. So it's really cool.
That's cool, man. I like that. What is one of the most surprising things you've kind of learned along the way here with this journey?
The reach that it has, the people that it affects. I get a lot of messages. I get a metric crap ton of messages, and the majority of them, I would say 99% of them are positive. I really don't get any kind of negative messages at all. Some of the messages that I get though are like pretty like deep, meaningful things, where people, a lady sent me a message the other day and she said, my son's father is a terrible person and you're like his dad on the internet. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. But at the same time, it's like, if I can be a good example for not only my kids, but other kids out there to make them feel better and feel, like they're important and all that, then that's huge. I had a lady about a year ago say that her mom was in the hospital with cancer and they would watch her videos while she was going through chemotherapy every time, watch my videos. And I'm like, man, that's intense. So after I started getting videos like that or messages like that, I'm like, man, I got to keep doing this. Like it's not that I'm pressured, but at the same time, it's like, if I have that much of a reach, like, yeah, I could advertise for almost anything and make a lot of money doing that. But at the end of the day, like that's not nearly as important as how much this can affect everyone. And I guess that's my biggest like takeaway from all this.
Yeah, I think you're setting a standard, right? Like for that example specifically, the kid might have a crappy dad, but he sees a good dad, right? And C.S. Lewis often did polarizing quotes like that. And so like one of them that I remember very vividly and that I try to keep in the back of my mind when I show my kids stuff is like the quote, "Since it is so likely that children will meet cruel enemies, let them at least have heard of brave knights and heroic courage." And so like for me, I'm always trying to make sure that when they're watching something, especially my son who deals with anxiety, I'm always trying to make sure that, okay, you see how this guy's scared and he's still acting? That's courage, right? You feel the fear, you accept that it's there, and then you keep moving, right? And so, yeah, it's really important that you're doing that. And I appreciate, that you create content that kids can have a standard from. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. I do think that that's very important.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you've kind of like gotten thrust into this role, like unwittingly in a way. Right. And, but yeah, I mean, even we get some messages sometimes from people and it's like, wow, I didn't realize that this would help someone that much. And when it does, it's like, yeah, man, it does feel like a responsibility now. Cause it's like, well, I can't withdraw these things from the world. Obviously someone needed it. Right. And, I think in a wider sense too, like we could do that in our daily lives a lot more. I think we get so stuck in kind of just our selfish lives and the things we have to do. And we're so caught up in ourselves, we don't even recognize how much other people are hurting. And if we just pause for just a minute, a simple, kind word can go a long way. There's a lot of, you don't have to make TikTok reels and stuff to impact people. You can do it in your day-to-day lives, but it takes just a little bit of awareness,
Just simple. I mean, if you can be kind to other people and express that to them, that goes a long way.
Yeah. So we're gonna transition to kind of our standard fatherhood questions. Seems like a good way to move in based off that discussion. So let's start with legacy. We like to get everyone's take on legacy and what does it mean to you, and then ultimately what is the legacy you're trying to build.
Am I first?
Yes, you are first.
Oh, okay, all right.
We are asking you. Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So the legacy I'm trying to build is that I basically am teaching my kids what it is to be kind and what it is to be a good person, no matter what. It's very easy, and this is something that we talk about a lot with my kids, is it's very easy to be like everybody else and complain and focus on negative things. If you look on social media, you look in the news, if you look anywhere, it's nothing but negativity most of the time, or depressing things. So my legacy is to leave happiness and to leave positive things in the positive way of thinking. Instead of just focusing on the problem, I would rather my kids focus on the solution and how to make things better. Man, that was good. I didn't rehearse that at all.
That was real sharp.
You nailed that.
That's your next video.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. And cut. Got it.
All right. So, Tyler, I want you to think back to old Tyler that was just about to have his first kid. And I want you to pretend like you're the old man that has all the wisdom in the world, or at least the experience you have now. And I want you to tell us what the best piece of advice you wish you would have had as a new dad, or a dad that was about to be a new dad.
Besides grow a mustache.
Yeah, well, that was obvious, but I would say it would be more present. You know, it's one thing to be there with your kid and be there in the same room and everything, but if you're just like constantly thinking about other things, or you're not actually in the moment with your kid, then we have the Amazon Fire Stick, and it takes all the photos and puts it on the TV as like a screensaver. And so we see all these pictures of my son and daughter when they were tiny little babies, and that's what I think about a lot. It's like, man, I remember that, but I wish I remembered more of it. And so again, when you have that time with your family, I would focus more on being in the moment, focusing on what's happening, listening to what your wife is saying, no matter how hard that is sometimes. Focus on the actual words that she's saying and contribute and add to it. I'm not saying I wasn't present at all, but at the same time, like, there were times where I would come home from work and still be in the work zone, where I'm thinking about the people we arrested or the people that got away or all this kind of stuff. And meanwhile, my son is a tiny little baby that's wedged in the recliner next to me while I'm drinking a beer and watching TV or something. So that wasn't a horrible experience or anything, but at the same time, like, I do wish that I had been more attentive to him at that, even such a small age. Not that he'll remember it, but I definitely will.
That's a hard thing to kind of overcome, because even doing this podcast, I still feel like that myself. I find myself, wanting to look at my phone or, pay attention to something about work, and it's a pit you can fall in pretty quickly. So that's really hard to overcome. But obviously there's good memories. So that being said, what is a core memory or something just comes to your mind that, since you've become a father, just really sticks out to you that, you'll remember for the rest of your days? Just something that you're like, man, I think about that often, or it's just such a good memory, that kind of thing.
So we live on a farm, and we have chickens, we have horses, we have a barn, we have all this stuff, and we've built all this stuff ourselves. And my wife and I bought raw land and built a house and did all this stuff. So it's been a pretty big journey that we moved from my last house here a couple weeks after my son was born. So that kind of brand new house, brand new baby and everything, like, that was something to remember. But what sticks out in my mind so much that I'll never forget the image of is my kids and my wife walking down to the barn. I'm with them too, but I remember them walking ahead. And so whether that is my daughter wearing her little cowgirl boots and a pair of shorts and a t-shirt with my wife, but that image of all of us walking together, or the kids walking together down the driveway, long driveway to the big red barn, That's something I'll never forget. My kids riding horses with my wife, that, that kind of image, again, I won't forget. But those kind of things, like those moments where the kids are like very interested in what's happening and appreciative of being with us and doing these things. That's like, I don't know, that I literally have my farm and family stuff tattooed on me, and I'm getting ready to have the rest of it done. So that image is that clear to me.
Wow, that's beautiful, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll
love
never
it.
forget. So then those
Yeah.
are your memories now. What are you looking forward to the most when you think in 10 years as your kids grow up? What are you most excited to see them do?
Man, it's not that I'm excited to see what they will do. I'm excited to see who they become and what they become and what they do. It's one thing to hope, like, oh man, I hope my kid turns out to, be a good person and all that. But I mean, I know what my kids are capable of already. Like, I know that they will do great things, and they will be great. But it's like, as a dad, like, I'm like, man, I need to make sure that we give them as much attention as possible now, and as many opportunities to experience as many different things now, so that later on in life, when they're older, they can remember those things and maybe use that to base their decision on what they're going to do. But I mean, I think about, I was on a Chinook flying around doing video stuff for my job last week. The pilot was a 24-year-old female first lieutenant, and so I saw her, this blonde female lieutenant, and I look at her and I'm like, man, that could be my daughter. Like, she could be a helicopter pilot flying, 20 some dudes in the back to an objective or something. Like, totally possible and totally plausible that my daughter could do that, or my son. So I'm just super excited to see what they do, and also how I can help them achieve those things if that's what they want to do.
That's the mark of a great dad right there. Is your own personal achievements are fantastic, but when you can enjoy what your children do more than anything you've accomplished yourself, that's the best feeling in the world. To know that your son and your daughter may have eclipsed you and, become even greater than you were is incredible. So I love to hear that.
I remember that when I was younger, I would always tell my dad, I want to be like you. My dad was in the Navy. He was, a great dad as well. But I remember telling him, like, Dad, I want to be just like you. And you know what he would say is, I want you to be better than me. I think you'll be better than me. And so now it's the same concept for my kids. I want my kids to be better parents and better fathers or mothers than we are. And I think that that's possible.
Yeah, I guarantee it will be. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, one more kind of on this line of question here for you, Tyler, and that's if there's just one thing dads take away from you, or something you want to encourage them with, what is that thing? What is that piece of advice or just word of encouragement?
Like, advice from me on.
Yeah, just something that you personally want, like, other dads to kind of hear from you, and maybe it's something they don't hear enough, or just friendly word type of thing.
I would say, from like my perspective as a dad, is be involved. Like, be involved with what your kids are doing. Take the time to play with them. Take the time to roughhouse with them and go to their games and all that kind of stuff, because those are things that they will remember. I was late showing up to one of my son's, like, end of school. They have like 8 million parties and stuff at the end of the year. We were late to get a tour of his classroom. I was. And I mean, he was like beside himself, and I felt terrible, but at the same time, like, we make it to all those other events. We're not, terrible parents or anything. It felt like it in the moment, but I would say take advantage of that time that you have and use it. You're never going to get that time back. Just like when they're a tiny little baby, like, you look back on that and think, man, I miss that, holding them in that age. So just be present.
Yeah. Treasure every moment and make memories. Yep. All right. Well, it is the 4th of July special after all. So, Tyler, what is one of your favorite 4th of July memories?
I don't know. I think it was going to the local high school and seeing the fireworks. We would all, as a family, like younger, we would lay on a towel and just look up and watch the fireworks. What?
What's your password?
I'll get it for you. Bring it down here, Jamie. Sorry.
Bring him on. It's the dad.
Well, he's
cast.
he's not clothed.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe don't bring him on. We might get in
Yeah.
trouble for that. YouTube doesn't like that. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I doubt it.
For those listening, Tyler's being a little distracted by his children, which is,
Yes.
par for the course with a dad cast.
Okay. Can you watch? Why don't you watch something on TV, and then I'll help you when I come up. Okay.
So I'm gonna play Legos.
Yeah.
While I'm waiting for you to plug in my thing, and you can.
We have to keep this. This is really funny.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
I'm talking to the.
tell him to
Yeah,
go
you
get
said-
an
and you can
avocado,
keep-
cut the top off, put some
Oh,
honey in
yeah,
it,
he
put a little
knows.
coconut milk. Make us a drink.
He said, Dad, I'm gonna go play Legos so that you can keep talking to the dudes. That's what he said.
All right. I love it.
The
All right.
dudes abide. Yep.
Yep.
The dudes do abide. Yeah, man. Awesome. All righty. Well, so yeah, we asked 4th of July stuff. What is are you planning anything big with your kids, or is there anything you want to like carry forward that you guys used to do and try to make kind of a new tradition?
So what we're doing is we growing up, we would go camping a lot. I actually took my son camping for the first time a couple months ago, and he loved it. And of course, the first time ever that we go camping, it rained the entire time that we were there, and he still loved it, had a good time. So we're going to kind of continue that tradition where we go camping. We travel a lot. I travel a lot with work, and a lot of times when I travel, I will bring my wife and my kids with me so that they can experience these new places and kind of do that. That's like our thing, that we want them to experience as much of the country as possible, since we're able to do that now. I just think that the history and all that kind of stuff is important. So I remember going to museums as a kid too. We would do that all the time. So we force them to do that as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
man. That's a great opportunity to build memories that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's incredible how many wonderful, especially if you're in Virginia, there's got to be incredible American history all around. So the opportunities to go see that stuff are really cool.
Yeah. So our farm is actually, it was a Confederate base camp. So we have metal detectors. My son and I will go out there and metal detect, and we'll find stuff all the time. One of our borders of our property has the original stone wall from back there that was like property lines essentially back in the day. So it's pretty
Wow.
neat, and we're definitely into the history, and my son's all about it.
Yeah,
That's
it's fun
super
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Dustin.
So
Yeah, there you go.
awkward segue. I was hoping to find like a smooth way to transition to dad jokes, and it just didn't happen. So I'm just going to ask you. So what is your top dad joke of all time to drop on your kids?
I get asked this question a lot, but I actually don't know any dad jokes. Like I like kind of just
Fired.
come up with random things, and it'll make my kids laugh. Like I don't really have any like go-to things that I'll say to make them laugh. Like it's normally like we're doing something together, and just the way that I word it or something that we do. Like we do, as my daughter says, jumping onto bed means where I launch them from one end of the room onto the bed every night to get them all. We actually read a study about this, that it's, you think my wife was like, oh, you're riling them up before bedtime. Well, it's actually the opposite.
Makes them sleep
If
better.
you roughhouse with them before bedtime, they actually will go to sleep easier, because now
Yep.
they have they're coming down off of it or something. I have no idea. I'm not a scientist, but so now every night we'll do that, where I launch them across the air, and we have a different number of positions that will throw them through the air. And no, I mean, it's stuff like that show Bluey. I'm sure your kids, probably some of you
Oh, I
guys,
love
your
Bluey.
kids watch
Love some
Bluey.
Bluey. Yep.
Yeah,
George
but
hates it,
all
but
of
we
the
love
kind
it.
of silly jokes in there is what my kids like that kind of thing. And that's similar to how I am with them, is what I think.
Yeah, and I suspect that's why you've been so successful on YouTube and on Instagram, is that you're authentic, right? You're not dropping canned, cheesy jokes, because anyone can do that. You're funny in the moment, and that authenticity really shines. So it's the same with our kids, right? If we, are just kind of mailing it in and it's clear we're not making any kind of effort, they're going to know, right? They can read right through us. But if we really put that effort in and try our hardest, the humor comes through and the fun really shines.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a great reminder for dads, like you were saying, it wasn't a joke. It's just like you're having fun. Is to not take yourself too seriously. You know, Tyler, I don't really tell dad jokes that often either.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter and I will just start laughing about something that's not even really that funny, but it's like, to us, it's funny, right? And you just laugh and laugh and laugh and just have a good time. And like, I wouldn't trade those moments for anything. So, you know, to the dads out there, I know we're all trying to work hard and like do good things and be serious, but lighten up with your kids, you know, just embrace those tiny moments and capitalize on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no one else is going to think you're funny, but your kids always will, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely
Are you
do.
at the point yet, Tyler, where they're like, Dad, stop?
My daughter actually will do that. She's already a teenager somehow, even though she's 4.
A three-nager.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she is.
Well, that's not true. So I get to medicate patients and they think everything I say is hilarious. So if I could like get a room full of people and give them a bunch of anesthesia medication, I would crush. I would be the top stand-up comedian of all time, but I can't legally do that. So it's, you know,
I think technically there's probably some lines crossed there a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably not allowed, but
that's like,
if it was allowed, I would be doing it.
Yeah, like stand-up comedy. I get asked if I would do stand-up comedy all the time, and that's like the one thing that intimidates me is that I like to stand there in front of a big crowd and immediately get people to laugh. Like you have to have a whole routine and the delivery of the jokes and all this.
Delivery is everything.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like mentally too, that's got to be one of the biggest, like, like, you know, pre-game jitter type of moment. Because like, man, if this first one doesn't land, it's over.
Oh, yeah,
like there's no coming back.
You're getting booed out of there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's hard. That is a hard skill. I think you either have it or you don't, you know?
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Which actually that kind of makes me wonder, are you a little bit of an introvert or are you just naturally a pretty extroverted guy?
I would say I'm a extrovert. I don't know. Like if I go somewhere new, like I went down to Texas and I was on the Unsubscribed podcast and I met all those guys, the Donut Operator and Demolition Matt and all these like huge YouTubers, right? And so I met those guys and I'm like a hermit crab. I'm like thinking the whole time, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? But that's how I felt. And that's because I don't really know those people. Like I know them now and they're all like super nice, down to earth guys. But I don't know. Like when I don't know people very well, it's very hard for me in person to be like, a lot of it is like when I meet people in person too, they expect me to be like Robin Williams, like, hey, how you doing? Hey, like, you know, doing all the faces and the, you know, like I have fruit with me that I'm gonna be cutting up and pouring stuff into. But it's not like that. Like I'm a normal dude like everybody else. So it's like, hey man, what's up? Not, you know, hey, how you doing? Like it's just different.
You really just, you know, you broke the fourth wall for me right now, and it's all ruined now. I don't think I can watch anything else moving forward.
Yes.
But, no, I'm kidding.
Winning.
Yeah, I just, you know, it is funny, right? People see you one way, and they just assume that's you. And, you know, it's a good lesson in there for all of us to remember, too. Don't judge someone by the 10 seconds you saw them on Facebook or whatever, right? There's a whole person and life behind the reel, right? So
believe it or not, I don't just stand in my basement cutting fruit up and pouring coffee into it.
But that is pretty fun though, right?
It is. I love it. I mean, there's a bunch of bread on the floor over there from the last one. You'll see.
That's hilarious. Yeah, we'll see this weekend, right?
Oh no, it's probably tonight when I get off of this.
There you go. Nice. That's a throwback to Gallagher, right? Smashing pumpkins and watermelons and all that kind of stuff back in the day.
Yep.
Classic humor. Yeah.
All righty. Well, Tyler, I want to be respectful of your time, and we thank you so much for joining us here and talking about something you don't get to do too much is fatherhood and kind of showing people that other side of you. And just obviously, Instagram is a big place to find you. Is there anywhere else you'd like people to follow you?
No, I'm on all the platforms under the same name, Tyler Butterworth or at Butterworth to Syrup. And yeah, you can follow me if you want to. I'm not one of those that'll ask you to follow me every 5 minutes. If you think what I do is funny, and
he's hilarious, you should certainly follow and watch his stuff. It's well worth the time. And yeah, my wife and I will watch your reels every now and then, and that's like a hilarious little bedtime routine now. It's funny stuff.
Well,
so the ones with your son, man, I was like, oh, dude, right here in the fields, you know, great stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, if you don't follow him already, do yourself a favor, go follow Tyler. hilarious reels, amazing content. And Tyler, I thank you for just being genuine, authentic, trying to put good things out into the world. There's so much negativity, like you said. It's nice to see someone focusing on positives and just making it a better place for us all to be. Do you have any closing thoughts for the audience before we wrap?
Just have a good day. Don't take life too seriously. One day at a time, and focus on the positive things. Focus on how to get to the solution, not dwelling on all the negative things.
It's good stuff, man. All right, and done. Yeah, and with that, happy 4th of July. Keep your appendages intact. Don't lose them this year. And with that, we'll close. Let's get climbing the mountain of fatherhood, guys. We will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching this episode of the podcast. If you're on YouTube, drop a subscription to us. And if you are listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a review. It helps greatly. If you are also ready to level up as a man, check out Elite Sentinel Coaching, our program designed specifically for men, where we forge men into leaders. We turn cowards into kings, weaklings into warriors. Become the hero in your story. Join us today.